When it comes to fighting games, the late 90s, the PlayStation 1 era is golden. From the 2D sprite fighting games to polygonal PlayStation 1 aesthetics, JRPGs, action games, and also both racing and fighting games had hidden gems that are loved and considered as classics. Today, I would like to talk about one of the Capcom's hidden gems, one of the masterpieces, one of my favorites. Rival Schools United by Fate was one of my favorite fighting games since my childhood, and I used to play this masterpiece alongside with Marvel vs. Capcom, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and Tekken 3 for ages. Rival Schools can be simply defined as a polygonal Marvel vs. Capcom experience. It has 2 vs. 2 fighting high school students, 3D battle arena that is influenced by fighting games like Tekken or Virtua Fighter, memorable characters and soundtracks. Alongside with Darkstalkers, fighting game fans have been wanting to see Rival Schools resurrected in some way, whether it be a remaster or a new title, though the series are in a long silence since its second title that is released for Dreamcast back in 2000. But you know, I love fighting games and trying to cover as much as both popular and hidden gems and motivate newcomers to enter this beautiful genre. And after a couple of years, just to make a review retrospective video for Rival Schools United by Fate, I have entered the magical domain of emulation and finished its arcade mode couple of times for you guys. I'm Arcade Naut here, and today I'll talk about one of the most iconic titles of fighting game genre. Victory! Rival Schools United by Fate is about fighting high schoolers, from Japanese Yankees to rich American students, sports club members to even teachers. Everyone is fighting to their heart's content. Several local schools are the victims of unknown attacks and kidnappings of students and staff, and depending on the first character you choose, your arcade story will be shaped. Well, I would advise you to create a team of 2 characters from the same high school to see more story-rich cutscenes, so this means that if your first character is from Taiyo High School, you should as well as pick your team member according to that. Depending on the character and the team you choose, the story changes. Some characters set out to find who's responsible for the attacks on their school. Some of them have more personal goals during their journey. Before and after each chapter, both with cutscenes and fights, portraying characters' interactions with other schools and among themselves, while revealing who is behind these attacks. To be completely honest, Rival Schools do not have like a family drama like Tekken series, but it has more like a high school fighting manga kind of a story, so to say. Though many love Rival Schools because of its characters, visuals and gameplay style, which I'll be soon talking about. From the blonde boxer with broken Japanese Tiffany to beautiful and deadly Akira, who also added to Street Fighter V as the last DLC character. You probably won't have any difficulties choosing a character for your liking, which is a fundamental and a crucial process of every fighting game. Just because I love my followers, I will share an important tip with you. There are good and bad endings by the arcade mode, and if you ever want to see the good ending of your character, be sure to complete the second round of the Chapter 7's fight with a team attack that consumes 2 bars of vigor meter. If you ever just beat the Chapter 7 by normal attacks or just specials, you will miss the good ending. 2 vigor meter team attack can be easily performed by pressing light punch and light kick at the same time, so you don't need to worry about that. If I were to talk about the characters of Rival Schools and my favorites, Akira is still my fave, my waifu, meaning of my life. Her gameplay is again quite similar to Street Fighter V's moveset if you are familiar with it, but if not, she is mostly effective in close range, similar to the maybe Asuka of Tekken series. Besides Akira, I think my favorites were Natsu with her volleyball moveset and Hinata with her Tatsumaki Senpukyaku that is similar to Ken's style of Street Fighter V and 6. During my recent Rival Schools experience, each and every character that I played, from Akira, Natsu, Kyoko, Kyosuke and Sakura, they all appealed to me once again. And to be completely honest, I felt like I could have made all of these characters my main, if we ever have a Rival Schools remake someday. And by the way, I might also make a video about how to get into fighting games 101 kind of a video. So if you ever feel interested, be sure to share your thoughts or your opinions by the comments below or also on Twitter. Back to the Rival Schools, so this masterpiece have 20 different characters, 4 of them being hidden outside of the character selection screen and also consisting Sakura from Street Fighter series. Starting from Taiyo High School, we have sports-oriented team, American rich students, Yankees, teachers, villain side and 4 different hidden characters, one being Akira without her motorbike helmet. As I mentioned before, the structure of the single-player game of Rival Schools varied depending on how characters were selected. If two characters from the same school were selected, with a few exceptions here, single player would play in a progressing story with fights predetermined beforehand and each fight preceding and ending with a short 2D cutscenes to explain the story. If two characters from different schools were chosen, the single player mode would instead play similar to the other fighting games, with the player's chosen team fighting against random teams of opponents before facing the boss. Rival Schools' gameplay mechanics are quite close to Capcom's another hidden gem called Star Gladiator, meaning that there are two buttons for punch, like light and heavy punch, and two buttons for kick as light and heavy kick, which is again quite similar to SNK's King of Fighters series. The inputs of the special moves are quite similar to Marvel vs. Capcom or Street Fighters, meaning that most of the characters have Fireball, Dragon Punch inputs in general, differing from Tekken's directional attack inputs or pressing kick with punch simultaneously methods. Much like Marvel vs. Capcom games, launches can be done that allow air combos to be performed, though Rival Schools has less freedom in aerial combat. To make fights more detailed and full of tension, Rival Schools has similarities to the Street Fighter Alpha, meaning that it has quite the same counter mechanics similar to the Alpha counters from Street Fighter Alpha, allowing players to immediately counter-attack from a blocking position, and attack cancels allowing players to cancel an incoming hit simply by timing their own hit with the attack. If we were to think about its actual release date of 1997, Rival Schools do have quite a deep and complex fighting game mechanics that are open to experiment with. But if I were to talk about my own taste, I think the visuals, effects and polygons were just charming to watch. Rather than its mechanics, I think its concept and the characters are the main reason that people still wish to play Rival Schools. It's worth to mention that the director of Devil May Cry 5 and the Dragon's Dogma, Hideaki Itsuno, has directed Rival Schools to make a 60 FPS polygonal fighting game to make it feel more fluid than lots of other fighting games of that era. Though unfortunately, Dreamcast kinda ruined the series' future and condemned Rival Schools forever. Well, no worries though, a video about the sequel, Project Justice, will also be here in the future, and many hidden gem fighting games will also be here in the future, but if there are any recommendations, be sure to share it. And you know what else can I say? Rival Schools deserve so much more, at least its characters need to appear by Street Fighter 6 or somehow, some way in Capcom titles, at least. If you ever receive a new Marvel vs. Capcom title in the future, I would like to see Akira again, of course, or the main character of Rival Schools, Batsu, appear in one of the new gen Capcom titles. Rival Schools deserves so much more because of its characters, concept and visuals, and Hideaki Itsuno's vision. At least a remaster would be a nice approach to revive the series, but we'll see. As always, thanks for watching today's video and be sure to follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my channel for more.